All right, hello, welcome. Welcome, everybody. Thursday edition, extra live stream. A lot of stuff was going on today, so I wanted to jump on and talk about it. Some stuff in Bitcoin, some of the Bitcoin miners, but there was not a lot of huge news in Bitcoin, but I want to pay close attention because I feel like yesterday I did a video, for those of you who saw, or if you did not see, I feel like we're going to take this next run up to $29,000. So I'm trying to keep my eye on what's going on. Plus, a bunch of other stuff happened in the stock market today that I think is worth talking about. So welcome to everybody. Welcome JJT, Reese, Steve, Raul, JD, Sourmelon Gaming, Awakened Soul. We need more, Awakened Soul said, we need more experienced investors in the Discord. So I don't know. It's hard to tell. I do know we have a lot of our members are very experienced traders. But, I mean, it's open to everybody. The Discord's free and open to everybody. So it definitely, I mean, there's people of all trading skill levels in there. And then there's some people that are just in there to rile things up, which is how it works, I guess. Omer, hello. Welcome. Hello from London. Thank you. Raul said all the experienced investors moved to the members Discord channel. So we do have a Discord for the members, and I am more familiar with the members, and you know that conversation is a lot different than the one in the general Discord, which, you know, can be a nice conversation, but sometimes it deteriorates a little bit. Good morning, Barry. Sourmelon Gaming, congrats on 13K, Tom. Thank you very much. You deserve 100K. Well, someday. Well, first, we got 13. I'm shooting for 15, and then 50. That's what George and I decided. We're going to find a way to get to 50,000 subscribers. But they got to be real subscribers. You know, we don't want bogus. Because we have all real people so far. If everybody could please smash the like button, it helps the live stream out a lot. The more likes this live stream gets, the more they show it to other people, and the more people that come to the live stream. So, much appreciated if you would smash the like button. Okay, Justin, 8,500 is my price target once we head to the downside. 12K first. So we still have a lot of people that feel like we haven't finished bottoming out. I am not one of those people. I think that we have, but George, hello, Jeff, welcome. I think George definitely thinks we will still, and he may join us here again. This is not one of our normal days for a live stream, so he knows about it, and if he can break free, he'll join us. So we may have him for a part of the time. Samuel, hello. Jeff said, smashing the like. Thank you. Could not find a better name. Are we done bleeding? So, I mean, I hope so. I think so. I mean, I don't think the market's done suffering. I don't think we're done with volatility. So I'm going to I still feel like I'm very much where I was at the beginning of the year. This has been a great start to the year. The last week or so, maybe not as much, but I mean, January was phenomenal, particularly if you're in Bitcoin or the Bitcoin miners. But a lot of small cap high growths had big January. Some of the larger cap stocks had huge Januaries. So this was a good start to the year, but we got a long way to go. I also want to talk about the Fed, and the Fed minutes came out, and I want to go through that because there's a lot. I feel like there's a lot of nonsense on the internet and on, you know, TV regarding the Fed and what they're doing. And you can see, I think we kind of just went right through those Fed minutes. I mean, first of all, they released the Fed minutes, but it's, the meeting was on February 1st. So they're already weeks old by the time we see them. And, there's never really going to be something in there, in my opinion. And there really has never been. That's a big surprise. In addition to that, we've gotten new data points since they've met. So, it's already old information. So, I think the market freaked out going into those minute meetings release. And then, for like an hour or two, the market bounced around. But then I think we've moved on. And I feel like I want to go through what the Fed is going to do, because I feel like they've been unbelievably crystal clear on what they're going to do. They have not really changed. Now, they made a giant change, a year ago, because prior to that, it was inflation's transitory, don't worry about it. So, yes, they were late to the party, but once they got here, they've been pretty much preaching the same story ever since. And Jerome Powell has some pretty specific talking points, and I have not seen him stray from those. And I didn't see anything in the minutes that was different than what he's been saying. So I expect them to do well. I'll get into that. I want to do a poll and see what you guys think. But I have a very specific expectation of what I think the Fed's going to do for the rest of the year. Have we seen Max Payne yet? Somebody's telling me I'm 80 years old. I don't know what that means. Do I look old? Do I look old, everybody? Is that what's going on? Let's see. Old Jock, good evening. Welcome. Let's see. Jerome Powell has been wrong on everything. That is from Alex. I mean, I do think Jerome Powell was wrong for a long time, and now he's doing the only thing he can do, given the fact that he missed the initial window, and it's not like they just missed it. I mean, how long did everybody across, between Janet Yellen and Jerome Powell, everybody, inflation is transitory. Inflation is transitory. That was like the buzzword that was one of the top 5 buzz phrases of 2022. And really 2021. But they missed that. That was not correct. I mean, ultimately, if you want to define transitory, all inflation is transitory, because, it's not going to last forever. But inflation got a lot worse than they thought, and they've had to do a lot more to try and now run and catch up to it instead of being out ahead of it. So I think, now they got to do what they got to do. Alex is saying he needs to resign. That would be the thing to do. I mean, even if someone were to come into his place, I don't know that they could do much different than what he's doing right now. This is all that's left to be done. And in my opinion, there's not much more they can do. That's why I feel like it's a pretty short playbook right now. And, whereas the Fed meetings used to be, the Fed meetings dominated the market for the last year, right? I mean, that was the day. What's the Fed going to do? And now, I think from here forward, there's very little margin for error. We don't know 100% exactly what they're going to do, but somebody asked me, let's see, Jeff, do you still think the Fed is cutting rates by the end of the year? So my answer to that, Jeff, is yes, I do. I do think by the end of this year, they will be cutting rates. So, and they're saying they're not going to, and they have to say that they're not going to. Because if they say they're going to do it, that would be a disaster. So, they're going to stick to their talking points. So Douglas is saying inflation was transitory and it peaked in June of 2022. So it did peak in June of 2022, but when they were saying inflation was transitory, they did not expect it to go up for another 8 or 10 months in a row. And it got to a place, I think 9.1 here in the U.S., for CPI, where, you know, nobody was expecting that. The Fed certainly was not expecting that. And so they just fell a little bit behind. But I think Bitcoin never goes back to 12K. Is that what you're saying? Justin is still saying $8,500. So we're going to do a poll. I got a couple things I want to get everybody's take on. So hopefully you guys will participate if you're on a device where you can participate. Just 1 second. Okay, so let me post this. So super simple question. Just what's Bitcoin's next move? So no time frame. You know, I don't know if it's going to take a day, a week, a month, 6 weeks, whatever the case may be. What's Bitcoin's next move? Is the next big move up to 29,000 or higher? You know, if you think it's higher, or is the next move down, back down to like 18,000? And really, we were trading at around 16,800 for 2 full months, pretty much. We were plus or minus of 16,800, but I'm calling it, let's call it 18,000. So essentially, you think we're going up or down? Are we going to break through? So let me go to my chart here. This is on the 1-day time frame. Are we going to break through this? You can see all these days in a row. The purple line, that was for those of you who have been following the channel, you know, that was my price target for this rally. And we got there several times, but no further. So we talked about reassessing when we get here. I think now we are going to have just a little pullback, and I think the next move is up. So my question is, are we going to get into this area and then maybe just make our way through to the top of this area? Because you can see, as far back as I go, you know, it trickled down here once. We flash crashed down into this area, and then it moved very quickly through this on the way down. And then as far back as you go, I mean, you got to go back all the way back to December of 2020 is the last time Bitcoin traded in this range. So from 25.2 to 28.8 is kind of like an empty pocket that needs to be filled. So that's my question. Are we gonna run up through that? Or do we got to go down and feel more pain first? And just for those of you who are just joining us, if you have not smashed the like button, please smash the like button. It helps the stream out a lot. The more likes we get, the more people that the stream is showed to. So, and then the more votes we get on our poll. Steve's casting a vote for George. Well, I know George's answer. Alex is saying the weekly chart has the wedge building bullish unless it breaks the x-axis. I mean, that's the question. Are we going to break? Which way are we going to break? Are we going to break to the downside or to the upside? Because you know, and there's a million different ways to look at this, and you know, no one of them is right or wrong, but I've built up a pretty decent level of confidence that our next move, barring some unknown, unforeseen, massive, you know, non-stock market related world event, I think that left on its own, I think the next leg is up. And I also think I'm bullish for the year 2023. But, however, I don't think we're going to hit new all-time highs. I'm not looking for any of those things to happen. I'm just simply bullish. We came into this year, in November, we bounced off of 15,500 a couple of times. I think that was the bottom. And I really think that was kind of a double bottom from the flash crash we had in June of 2022. The FTX situation unfolded, on November 8th and 9th, and we went down to a place that I think we probably never would have gone to, but maybe that was what it took to flush everything out of the system. However, a lot of people, and some of them are on this stream right now, do think we're going to go back to lower or much lower numbers. I still see people talking about 8,500. So a lot of people are mentioning 12,000. Some people mentioning 8,500. There's still that small group of people that are talking about 3,000 or 4,000. Awakened Soul said, Tom, why don't you try focusing on deals in the market and not just miners to grow your channel? Well, I agree with you, Awakened Soul. I'm going to try to start putting out one video a day. I don't want to stop covering the miners. Obviously, it's something that I'm passionate about and I spend a lot of my own personal time with. But I do look at a lot of other stocks. So I'm going to try to start putting one video out a day that is non-Bitcoin and Bitcoin miner related. Those videos usually don't do as well for now because that's not what people know this channel for. But I am interested in a lot of other stocks. And, a lot of times I pass on making a video that I really want to make because I just feel like, no one's going to watch it. But I'm just going to push through that, I think. I think that's a good idea. But I do think it's going to take some time to get those different people into the channel. But yes, I agree. Looking for deals and, broadening our topics without losing focus on, obviously, I'm a Bitcoin miner type channel, so I don't want to get rid of that. But I think we can do both. Doug said there's a lot of Georges out there, meaning that sentiment is bearish. Bitcoin bullish. Justin saying kind of hard to use technicals on an unregulated asset. The thing is, the only reason technicals work on anything, because in a perfect world, the stock market would work on fundamentals, because that tells the story of a company. But we all know that, nothing. It's very rare a company's value is lining up perfectly with its fundamentals. It's usually either undervalued or overvalued, and you try to figure out which is which and trade accordingly, and the technicals help you do that. Bitcoin is a gigantic asset, and that is why I do believe you can follow. Now, they're wrong, they're right, they're wrong, and that's true for all the stocks that you look at. But I think Bitcoin is now that it's had this run back up, I think it's the 11th largest, including companies and gold and everything. It's the 11th largest asset in the world. So there's a massive amount of volume and there's a massive amount of trading going on. So a lot of these trades are, these aren't human beings. These are institutions and their algorithms. And so that is the reason why all of these technicals work at all, because really, I would argue that technicals shouldn't work at all. They only work because they work, which may sound like nonsense, but they only work because everybody knows that that's what everybody else is looking at, and then it follows, it tends to follow those things. So the Fibonacci numbers are not some mystical, magical numbers that came from outer space. It's just that everybody knows what they are, uses them, so they tend to, find levels of support and resistance. And I have my lines, and, sometimes you're right and sometimes you're wrong. We were at 16,800 when I said I think we're going to 25,000. So I feel like I got this one right. Having said that, I feel like 2022, I was just absolutely, completely wrong all year. So, but I did dollar cost average in all year because I still was bullish long term, this is a long-term deal. So, I do some swing trading with options, but the vast majority of my trading is buy and hold. And I think these things haven't even started their journey yet. So, this was 2022 was a very, very brutal year across the entire market. It was a very brutal year for Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, and the Bitcoin miners in particular. From their November highs in 2021, every single Bitcoin miner that is publicly traded in North America, without exception, was down more than 90%. So between 90 and 99%. So I think you would be hard-pressed to find any industry that's ever gotten beat up that badly. So is every single one of these companies going out of business? I mean, I can't rule that out, but I do think, like most industries, the better ones are going to be in it for the long haul and succeed. And I think there's a lot of upside. And the thing is, we've already seen a bull cycle with Marathon and Riot. We already saw a bull cycle. We already saw 40x and 50x occur in this industry. And we've pulled almost all the way back from there. So, most industries, catching a 10x could take a decade or more. But this is maybe the most volatile industry and or asset in the entire market. So as a result, when you lose, you're going to lose big. You're down 90 to 99%. But on the flip side of that, you may 10x or 20x or 40 or 50x like Riot and Marathon already did. So that's why I feel like there's no guarantee that they're ever going to do that again. But the fact is they've already done it recently. So it's not a pipe dream. You watch a lot of these, Shiba Inu's going to drop a 0 and it's going to 100x and it's going to, there's nothing to support that other than just hopes and dreams. This is a real industry. I mean, these guys, the Bitcoin miners, have spent a lot of money. They all have a different equation on how they've come at this, and we'll see who's more correct. There's going to be more than one way that is the right way in the end, but some of these formulas are going to work and some of them are not going to work, and some people are going to succeed, some companies are going to succeed, and others will not succeed. And that is just the way that it goes. Bitcoin, Pobrain said, Bitcoin miners are in max pain. I continue to accumulate at a once-in-a-lifetime bargain. And Daywalker said, amen to Pobrain. So, yeah, I mean, in these times, this is what you can do. You can accumulate. If you believe in the asset, if you believe in Bitcoin, if you believe in the Bitcoin miners, or whichever miner you happen to invest in, or, basket of miners. I invest in a few. And I think there's some of these companies that are doing a great job. They're just fighting very difficult circumstances. Having said that, at Bitcoin 24,000, their circumstances are a heck of a lot better than they were at Bitcoin 17,000. It's a disproportionately better because their cost per coin is going up a little as, the worldwide hash rate increases and the difficulty level increases, basically as a byproduct of that. Then, it does get it gets a little harder to mine Bitcoin, but the gross profit margin that they're mining, even this jump up to 24,000 has monumentally changed these companies' gross profit margins. And for some of them, it's the difference between a negative gross profit margin and a positive gross profit margin. And I'm talking on a cash basis, not including depreciation. So just so that all you guys know, the reason that I always talk in those terms, and obviously someday we need to be including depreciation, and these companies need to be not only cash flow positive, but they need to show profits and start to have healthy PEs. But right now, a year plus into a bear market / crypto winter, these companies have been deciding, do I want to turn my machines on or off? Like that's a daily decision for them over the last 6 months. So for the most part, I think at 24,000, that decision's off the table. There's no more self-curtailment at 24,000. And the cost per coin does vary quite a bit between companies, and even in individual companies, based on the agreements they have to buy power, sometimes it even varies from quarter to quarter for the same company. So, but I will say, for the last 4 quarters in a row, nobody's ever been, everybody has been making cash. Everybody's been cash flow positive from a gross profit standpoint at 24,000. So this really is a much, much healthier time. We've seen it in the worldwide hash rate, which did pull back a little bit. It's at 272 right now, but it got as high. And this is Y charts. This is what I look at. There's a bunch of different ways to look at this. This got up to 348 exahash, the Bitcoin network worldwide. That was, last week. That was 1 week ago. So it does fluctuate. You can see it gets down. It got down to, 286. Now it's down to 272. But, it's more hanging around towards this 300 level. And, we've been talking in the Discord about the fact that, it would be no surprise to me at all by the end of the year if this is maybe at a 400. So it's important that that's why these companies need to continue to grow their exahash and mine productively and efficiently, because this will grow if Bitcoin has the reasonably healthy year that I think it's going to have. And again, I'm not a Bitcoin to the moon, Bitcoin all-time high in 2023, but I do think 2023 is going to be a positive year. It's going to be massive amounts of volatility. We've already experienced a lot of that. And, the year's just getting going here, so. But to me, this was healthy. Like, right now, I'm looking to hold on. I talked about, really, I'm looking for 2 things over the course of the next week. To hold this line here at 23,000, I have a green line on my chart at 23,250-ish. If we can hold that, I think that's very bullish. But I even think we have room to go to the 4-hour. I even think there's plenty of room to pull back to this purple line at 22,400 if we have to. I don't think we're going to. You can see this is the new. You can see we've got a nice period, and this is on the 4-hour. We had a period like that here. Like, this is what's starting to happen. Instead of getting massive swings, we're getting some consolidation. And that, that's healthy. That can reset a lot of these indicators the same way that, a big giant pullback does. So I think it's been a pretty steady, healthy climb up. And it's been a huge climb up because from November 21st until, now 3 days ago, I guess, that was 64% increase in the price of Bitcoin from the low to the recent highs. So that's more than a rally. To me, we're starting to get into, not necessarily a bull market, but we're starting to transition, in my opinion, out of a bear market. That's why I think we did not have a 64% rally in the year 2022. We had 2 rallies. They were both plus or minus just about 40%. And then we had some pretty vicious pullbacks right after that. So I guess we'll wait and see. That could happen again. And maybe this was just a bigger rally. But it's a considerably bigger rally. And everything about this rally feels more healthy to me. Having said that, I understand there is going to be volatility here and across the board. So this is my periodic. Remember to smash the like button. We got 48 likes. We go for 100 likes on the live stream. We've done that, I think, 3 times in a row now. So if anybody can smash the like button, I appreciate it. You can always unlike it later if you don't want it lingering around. But if you like it during the live stream, it does help promote the live stream. So I appreciate everybody for hitting the like button. And thank you to all of our members. There's a lot of members right now I see on the live stream. So many thanks to the members for supporting the channel. I have a bunch of videos I'm going to get out this week. I spent a lot of today on, I'm still doing, for those who are not members, I got Silvergate, which is a bank, really, but it's all wrapped up in crypto, and then a silver mining company. Those are, the members pick a video each week, or a company each week, for me to do a deep dive video on. So those two are on deck. They're coming at you. I will catch up. I did have some, many of you may know, I think the members know, I had some family issues this week that consumed a considerable amount of my time, but I'm back on track. I got some support. Patient Bill, Tom, I'm here now. I didn't agree with your Wolf analysis. Not as good a value as you think. So Patient Bill does not. For those of you who didn't watch my Wolf video, I did do, that's the first deep dive I've done on Wolf. You know, they've been around a while, but a bunch of these companies, like Cypher and Wolf in particular, they really just started mining in the fourth quarter of 2022. So although they were public all year last year, there was not a lot of activity. There was not monthly updates, and, you know, there wasn't much to, you know, base your buying and selling decisions on. But both of those companies are now up and running. Cypher's up and running. I mean, they quickly got all of their exahash going. Wolf is doing the same, and they've done some massive... Wolf has done some massive restructuring of their debt. In addition to that, they raised some money. Now, I know a lot of people don't like dilution. So they raised $32 million, and that was dilution. However, you know, sometimes when you're stuck between dilution or going out of business, I vastly prefer dilution. And all in all, I think they really, in my opinion, they turned their balance sheet around drastically, to the point where, and again, this is not financial advice, but it's one of my new positions in 2023. So it's not showing that. Let me show that. Screened that. So Patient Bill is saying that he did a quant chart, and Wolf was at the bottom, other than some unmentionables. So at or near the bottom in Patient Bill's opinion. So, I mean, let me go to my market cap thing. I mean, this is one of the charts that I look at. So this is I update this every Friday. So, you know, today's Thursday, so it does not reflect this week. But if you look at this is one of the things, you know, and I have a lot of these charts because no one thing tells the story. But if you look at all the Bitcoin miners, I mean, you've got, I don't know why it's not showing this percent, but CleanSpark is up 66%. That was, other than Wolf, that's the worst performing Bitcoin miner of the year 2023. This is from January 1st, 2023 through whatever particular Friday. So, you know, I will update this on Friday and do a video on this over the weekend. But you can see, I mean, all these stocks ran. Most of these Bitcoin miners are up more than 100%. Some of them 200, some of them 300, pushing 400%. This is just this year. This is just January and February. At the same time, Terawolf is down 5%. So from that standpoint, now, again, that's just one piece of data. So, you know, you don't want to make buying decisions on one piece of data. But this is one of the things that led me to take a closer look. And when I did take a closer look, and when I did, you know, I did my own pro forma of their balance sheet updated for all the moves they made as far as raising money and restructuring their debt. And they just look like to me, an absolutely totally different company. But that's just my personal opinion. You know, they've got a long way to go, as do most of these miners, to get where they're going. And they really just started mining Bitcoin. So we'll see what happens. Jeff said, join the membership. Thank you, Jeff. Yes, you can join the membership. You can hit the join button on the YouTube page. If you don't see a join button, there should be a link in the pinned comment and or the description. Membership is $5 a month, and it does help support the channel. I will tell you guys, you know, and this is a small channel, and the YouTube, I don't know what's going on with YouTube, but the amount that they're paying is going down drastically right now. So I do lose money on this thing. So I'm not here to complain about that. I'm just letting you guys know, for those of you who have been kind enough to join the channel, I appreciate your support. I'm just looking to try to break even on this thing. And I think the members will agree that there's a lot of benefit. We have a members only live stream every Tuesday after the market closes. The members pick a stock. We do have a lot of videos built up in our member library now that are deep dives of stocks that are picked not by me but by the members. So a lot of times it's a company, you know, that I got to start from scratch on. So I do put a lot of work into that, and the members have picked a lot of very, very good and interesting companies. So I think it's a lot of value. Justin said, I liked the Wolf video a lot. Murr is asking about GREL, which I think is their debt or their notes. Let me see if I can. So I haven't really taken a deep dive look at that note, but I think it's like 8.5%. And if you're willing to hold it, I prefer the stock. And I don't own GRE. And obviously, you know, the notes are in line ahead of stock of shareholders, so you know that part is good. And you know, 8.5%. And I'm just, if I'm wrong, if it's not an 8.5%, let me know. But that's what I'm remembering. You know, that's a healthy return. So I don't do that, but I can understand why somebody would do that, and it does take some of the risk out of investing in some of these, you know, versus investing straight up in the stock. Let's see, Justin, I just need it at 30 cents or under. I think you're talking about Wolf, maybe? Alex said, Tom, can you help me with Cypher claiming Bitcoin production monthly, yet they have 49% business relationship with Bitfury. Therefore, the January report, 343 Bitcoin. So Cypher gets 49% or 100. So the amount that they do, the amount that they say in their monthly operational update, that is their share of the Bitcoin that is produced. So, and there's a couple of companies that this is true for, and so far everybody's been consistent in this. So, you know, some of these companies have partnerships, you know, 5149, whatever the case may be. And so when you look at a number, you know, Alex is asking the first question that people should ask, you know, is this, when they say they mined X amount of Bitcoin, is that all the Bitcoin and they only get their share of it, or is that their share of the Bitcoin? So I did look into that one, and that is their share of the Bitcoin, if that helps at all. Raul said, is the dilution over for Wolf for now, or have they not exercised all their dilution potential? So that's the $1 million question. They did put in their release that this was enough cash to get them where they're going. Now, what, do we believe them? I mean, even if they believe themselves, I'm not saying they're lying. Are they right? They think this cash is going to get them where they need to go to become cash flow positive. So they don't expect any more dilution. I would add to that, I always expect more dilution, especially in this Bitcoin miner sector. There's just, dilution is a fact of life, and we can see really for versus debt, it saved a lot of companies. All the dilution that a lot of people did not like in the year 2021 versus companies that went out and borrowed the money, you know, that debt service can run, that's what puts companies out of business. It's always about cash. You guys know this. So, you know, if you have a huge debt service, right, when you dilute, there's no, you get cash. You don't have to give that back later. So when you get a loan, obviously you have to not only pay interest every month, but you have to do debt service on the principal. And at Bitcoin 17,000, this was turning into a disaster for, you know, a half a dozen of these companies or more. You know, I would say about 10 of these companies had some debt that was not good news for them. So I think, you know, I expect dilution. I think there's going to be more for almost every single company. Wolf is saying they've got enough money to get where they're going, but, where are they going? Because then where are they going after that, right? I think all of these companies are going to have to remain in some type of growth mode, for the foreseeable future based on the fact that the halving is coming up. And, none of these companies want to be where they are right now when the halving happens, which is some plus or minus like April of 2024. Patient Bill said, Wolf, I like the fleet efficiency, decent growth, decent value, but financial health is so poor. So, I mean, it's still right. They did enough to say they can go cash flow positive, and they dramatically improved their financial health, but that doesn't mean that they're now financially healthy. So I don't disagree with you, Patient Bill. They're not, that's not the healthiest balance sheet among the Bitcoin miners, but I just thought the changes they made did improve it significantly. Bitcoin 24K and CleanSpark under $3. I mean, yeah. CleanSpark is a mystery, and that's the position I've added to the most in 2023, even though it was already one of my larger positions, because I think their monthly operational updates, they continue to excel operationally, and I don't know what's holding their stock back. These are all very, very, very small companies, and a lot of times you can throw out the fundamentals and you can throw out the technicals. If somebody wants to suppress the value of that stock for a period of time, then that's what happens, because it does not look like natural. I'm going to go to there. Well, let's go here. Like, this doesn't look natural to me versus what all the other Bitcoin miners have done. And you saw when we looked at this list, other than Terawolf, which is negative on the year, CleanSpark's in last place out of all the Bitcoin mining companies this year. So, there's some reasons for that. They didn't fall as hard as a lot of these other guys did, but, they're up 66%. Cypher's up 239%. And again, this is through last Friday, so these numbers all need to be adjusted for what's happening this week. But I mean, these are massive, massive differences. So I think, in my opinion, CleanSpark is way undervalued. I think there's several of these left that are way undervalued. I think CleanSpark is one of them. And I know there's a lot of people that feel that way. There's a lot of other people that feel like CleanSpark, they don't like management. They think management pays themselves too much money and things like that. And there's a healthy disagreement on CleanSpark. But what I'm looking at is I look at their financial statements and I'm looking at their operational reports. And to me, I don't think anybody can touch what they're doing right now. I mean, they mined almost 700 Bitcoin last month. So we'll see. Now, February is a short month, so everybody's numbers are going to go down in February. But we'll see the per day mining, and that's how we can compare apples to apples. For me, also, the other one that I think is having some very nice consolidation, this is Bitfarms on the one-day time frame. So for those of you familiar with the channel, I've been holding Bitfarms since before they were even on the NASDAQ. So this is a company I still feel strongly in. They have had to make some big changes. They did have a big misstep in 2022 that caused a change in their game plan, and then obviously a crypto winter on top of that. But to me, this stock is, being down at $1. They're struggling right now. Let's see, they're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This was day 6 of being over $1, and yesterday they closed at $1.01. So, they got to get, I think, that 10-day streak in a row to reset this so that they're back in compliance with the SEC. I'm not worried about that. I think they're going to end up at much, much, much higher numbers. But, you know, right in the middle. You can see they've been over $1 for all this time, but, you know, just enough days they close below $1 that they have to keep pressing the reset button on that streak. But all the while, this is some phenomenal consolidation. So I think this is set for the next move up. Really, this is where Bitfarms was in August of 2022. That's the last time that Bitcoin was at $25,000. So I've been comparing that spot. Now, you know, all things are not equal, but the one thing that we can say is constant is, you know, Bitcoin was at $25,000 in August of 2022, and it's back to 25,000 right now, you know, give or take. It's now, you know, it hit 25,000 5 different days in the last week. So to me, you know, why does Bitfarms need to get up? They need to 121% increase in the price of their stock just to get where they were last August. And remember, by last August, all the Bitcoin miners were extremely oversold. If I go to the 1 week on this, and all these charts look very, very, very similar. So, I mean, that is their high. That's when Bitcoin was at its all-time high. All I'm talking about is getting back here. Right? So that is down. That's down 75% from their high. That's the line I'm looking for them to get back to. I don't think that's an unrealistic expectation. Obviously, it's going to depend on what Bitcoin does. It's going to depend on what Bitfarms does. And CleanSpark is in a similar situation. You know, CleanSpark, this was their November. So on the 1 week, this was their November 2021 high. But if you go here, let's go back to the 1 day because it's easier to look at. Whoa. So this green line that's August of 2022. So the same scenario. We're sitting right here for CleanSpark. CleanSpark has to go up 132%. Now, there has been some dilution, but I will tell you, it is nowhere in the neighborhood of making up the gap here. Also, they have tripled their exahash rate, and they've much more than doubled the amount of Bitcoin that they mine per month. So this is a much, much bigger, better, stronger company than it was in August of 2022. Bitcoin's at the same spot it was in August of 2022, and yet for some reason we need 132% to the upside just to get back to where they were. So I think this stock is being suppressed. It's not a conspiracy theory. This happens all the time in the stock market. Stocks take runs at different times. And I just don't think CleanSpark's had its run yet, whereas some of these others, clearly, you know, if I go to this, back to this chart, DigiHost has had its run. It was up 383% in a month and a half. So, you know, that had its run. Core Scientific is kind of a different situation. They're in Chapter 11 at the moment, so that's a little bit of an outlier, but you guys get my point. I mean, to me, this is one of the better companies, and it's at the bottom of the list. So I think that is because it will catch up ultimately, but only time will tell. Let's see. Jeff is saying, well, there you go, but I don't know what he's saying there you go to. Just trying to catch up, everybody. And there's a bunch of blocked. What are people saying that's blocked? It's very sensitive. This chat is very sensitive. It blocks a lot of stuff. Jeff sounds like a buying opportunity. So there's some other stuff. I haven't gotten to any of the other stuff I wanted to talk about. So let's take a look at our poll here and see if everybody's done voting. And remember, for those of you who have not yet done so, if you could please smash the like button. It helps out the channel a lot. Also, if you're here and you're not a subscriber, I would appreciate you guys subscribing if you're interested and you enjoy the content on this channel. All these things, hitting the like button, subscribing, they all help spread the channel. You know, the more of that happens on this channel, the more they show my videos to other people, and it helps the channel grow. So I need to grow the channel. We're still a very small channel. So, however, we do have an excellent subscriber base and an outstanding member base. So I will take another time out here to just thank all the members who I see a bunch of you guys on the live stream. Very much appreciate you guys supporting the channel. Let's see. So the final vote, I'm going to call this vote Bitcoin's next move. So this is very, very similar to the last time we had a vote on the channel. Up to 29,000, 74%. 18,000 or less, 26%. So this is a 3/4, 1/4 type of a situation. Pretty much every time I've done this poll for the last several weeks. So I'm interested to see as the days go by and as, you know, more data obviously compiles, are people changing their mind? But it seems like people are still holding strong. And I don't know how representative this group is of the overall sample of all investors, but we've been very consistent. I think 74 or 75% the last 3 times in a row that we ran this poll. So that's 3/4 to the upside. So I'm ending that poll. Thank you for your participation. For those who participated. Who saw what happened with... I had three big things happen today. I did a video on NVIDIA, and that is not in my normal wheelhouse as far as the channel goes. It's, first of all, it's a extra large cap stock. So we deal in a lot of small cap stocks. Jeff said, thank you, Tom. You are welcome, Jeff, and thank you for your support. NVIDIA is the polar opposite of what we're used to looking at on this channel, but it does, you know, it's still adjacent to this, in my opinion. And, you know, they're the 7th largest company in the United States by market cap, and they had a day today. I did a video on this. They had a day today that, in my opinion, made no sense at all. So I'm wondering, are you guys invested in NVIDIA? And if anybody has any thoughts on NVIDIA, they can share. And the other 2 stocks that had gigantic moves that I think are in trouble are Lucid. So I want to go through Lucid and Wayfair because they had very big moves. They reported earnings. There's some stuff that is not looking good. And not every company is going to make it. You know what I'm saying? We've got an awful lot of new companies in a lot of these new spaces. One of these I've got my list of, like, at this list right here, every one of these is an electric vehicle related company. They don't all necessarily make electric vehicles. Some of them make batteries, charging stations, whatever the case may be. But this is a long list, and I do not think everybody on this list is going to survive. So, obviously, plenty of them will. Oh, yes, Barry's saying Coinbase, so we should talk about that. They announced earnings, so there's some interesting stuff to pull apart there. Let's see. Patient Bill said it's not about hash rate. It's about ready cash flow in their hosting contracts with Marathon and the other 680 megawatts. So I assume that is in response to somebody talking about Hut 8. So I'm still waiting. To make another video. I will make another video on Hut 8. I'm waiting for more information to come out. I did go through the S4 that they filed. I went through all the financial information in there. I still want to know more. I'd love to see an investor package type of a thing, but they went through. I mean, they were pretty comprehensive in the information that they gave, but I'm still waiting to see, my final decision on, is this, it's a merger of equals is what they're calling it, and essentially they are splitting the equity 50-50 between Hut 8 holders and U.S. Bitcoin holders. So we got to see if we're getting our money's worth, essentially. Now, it's not necessarily about cash because this is really a stock transaction, but are we getting our money's worth? Awkward Soul, Tom, what's your thoughts on Boyle as a hedge? So I don't know Boyle, so I'm going to have to look at it right now to see what my thoughts are. Natural gas hit a multi-year low lately. This is ultra natural gas. So let's see if that's part of what they now. They got crude oil at $75. So yeah, I mean this was up huge today. So I don't know what natural gas did today, but I'm guessing it moved along with oil and it was up. And then this is seems like a leveraged play on that. So yeah, I mean, I have never looked at this, but this is interesting. I'll put it on my watch list. I like these the ProShare Ultra stuff, and there's a bunch of other ETFs that do this as well. I like these leveraged plays that are a 2x or a 3x because, you know, you don't have to spend as much money, and a lot of times I'll even use these and use options on these so that, you know, for a very little bit of money, you can do some reasonable amount of hedging with these types of things. And again, there's a long list of these, and this is one of them, but I do like these. All of these types of things I like as potential hedges. Minor Doc said, NVIDIA is a great company, but overvalued currently. So that is what I go through in my video. If you haven't watched my video today, obviously I recommend you guys watch my NVIDIA video because I really go through the numbers. And what happened today, in my opinion, is just, it's bizarre. And the trading on NVIDIA has been crazy for the last couple of years. I mean, that has traded, it's the 7th largest. I'm going to go to the list. I mean, NVIDIA is the 7th largest stock in the United States. We got Tesla, Berkshire Hathaway, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, and Apple. That's it. Those are the only things bigger. It's bigger than Visa, and it's not even close. So, you know, this stock has ballooned up to a massive value. And the thing is, it's not even near its all-time high. It was much higher than this. But if you look at the numbers, I can't get to this. I can't get there any way I try. So I really go through a lot of the math, and I just, you know, show what their earnings were. And it really wasn't even, in my opinion, here's where it really blows my mind. I didn't even think it was a great earnings report. I thought it was pretty mediocre. So, you know, they exploded on that earnings report. They were up. Let's see where they finished. So this is at the close of the day. They were up 14%. That's about $75 billion of additional market cap that they gained today on what I don't know why. I mean, $75 billion is mind-boggling. Right in the video, I point out that's the size of Target. That's their entire market. So all the targets all over the world, all added up, put together for all the time they've been in business, that's how much NVIDIA went up today with their stock. So to me, that was a move that didn't make a lot of sense. Alex is saying the courts could rule against Hut 8. And so, yeah, I mean, we got this Validus situation. Alex, the Hut 8 has to merge with... Hut 8 had to merge with Validus legal suit and the Canadian government and several provinces ceasing Bitcoin mining. That loss of BTC mining with Validus comes at the wrong time with the halving approaching. So, yeah, I mean, these are definite headwinds that they were facing. They've been talking about inorganic growth for a long time, and that is the path that they took. So I'm not surprised that they took this path. I just feel like we need more information to understand, you know, to make sure they both bring a lot of different things to the table. And Alex just touched on some of them. The first thing is, right now, Hut 8 is only in Canada. And Canada, while, you know, they have 2 operations that seem to be just fine and not in jeopardy, but Canada has taken a much less Bitcoin-friendly stance recently than in the past, and much less friendly so far than the United States, although, we haven't gotten through our process of rules and regulations, so we'll see what comes. But I will say, there are several states in the United States that are extremely Bitcoin miner friendly. So I think almost regardless of what the federal government does, there are going to be places like Texas that remain Bitcoin miner friendly, and they're not the only state. Georgia is extremely Bitcoin miner friendly. There's other places in the West, in the Midwest, that are Bitcoin miner friendly. So, diversifying where they're mining Bitcoin, I think, is a big deal. And, both companies bring a lot to the table, but again, I have not made my decision yet on whether or not HUT is getting the proper value on essentially the dilution that it has to do in order to make this merger. AD, hello, welcome to the stream. I sold my position in HUT last week at 100% gains. Prefer to play it safe with this. I mean, that's the dream scenario right there. If you dollar cost averaged in or bought at the right time where you were up 100%, then taking profits. I mean, I never argue with somebody who said I took profits, because, the only thing you can do is say, oh, boy, maybe I could have made more. But, that's not how this game is played. So congratulations. If you got in and out and you pulled a double on that, it looks like, then you win. That's a win, regardless of what happens going forward, in my opinion. Old Jock, lack of shareholder faith in HUT 8 management ability to carry out due diligence on merger. I think so far their rollout of this merger has been less than ideal. Let's just say that. So I think they've got to get out, and I think they're trying to get out and get more information, but I mean, I still have question marks. So I'm probably not alone. And I do think some of it is just communication. Maybe for me, it's not a lack of faith in HUT 8's management, but I think for a lot of people, it may be that, aren't as familiar with the management, and, they're seeing what's happening, and it doesn't make common sense. On the surface, this does not look like a merger of equals. It just doesn't. It may very well be, and that's a very complicated thing to figure out, but absolutely on the surface, it doesn't look like that. And because HUT went into kind of crypto winter hibernation, they really didn't grow their exahash for about a full year. Now, I was in support of that. I think they were ahead of everybody else, and they did the right thing. But at the same time, they had Medicine Hat, I think it was, where, they had that situation with Validus where they had to shut down a bunch of their machines. So they actually went in the wrong direction from an exahash standpoint. So, if some people have a question mark about HUT 8, I understand that. I still feel good about management. I still want to answer some more questions myself from a financial standpoint regarding this merger. So, but yeah, I think so. I think they got work to do to explain this to people in a way where everybody's comfortable with it, if it is a good deal. We have 83 likes. If anybody has not smashed the like button, I would appreciate it if you could smash the like button. We've been getting to 100 lately, and that's been helpful. The more likes we get, the more it spreads the live stream, so I appreciate everybody smashing the like button. And if you are not subscribed to the channel, I would also appreciate you guys subscribing. We're slowly chugging along. We just got to 13,000 subscribers, so it's a long road. But I would like to stay around and keep doing this, and so we're trying to continue to grow. So much appreciated. All right, let's see. Barry said management gets extra grief because they are women. So I mean, I don't know. Maybe that is true. I know there, some of the. I'll just say this: you guys can read the comments in the comments section on my HUT videos and decide the answer to that for yourself. Barry said, I think they're doing a good job. I mean, I do too. I like Hut 8. That's one of my high conviction plays, and I like what they're doing. But I do want to know more about this merger. I mean, it's a gigantic deal, so I want to know that, even if it's not a perfect deal, I want to know that it's a good deal, and I think it is, but I don't want to think it is. I want more information. Alex, is it fact that Bitfarms CEO replaced? I am not aware that Bitfarms CEO was replaced. So, is that new news? Is that new news? Am I forgetting that news? Give me more information, and I'll go look on their website right now. I know that Hive just promoted Iden, very recently promoted Iden to CEO, and Frank Holmes is now, he remains chairman of the board, but he's not the CEO anymore. But I don't remember any change at that position at Bitfarms. I'm going to look right now. I mean, that would be, obviously, they would be required to do a press release for that and an SEC filing. So, if it's out there. So, I don't remember that happening, and I don't see, I mean, let me know if you can point to some information on that. Oh, yes, December 29th. So that's on me. So let's read this together. Promoted, and I think this is a similar situation. Jeffrey Morphy to the position of President and Chief Executive Officer. And I think this person is still, I think this is a very similar situation where this is a natural progression. This person's still, you'll see they will remain a director on the board and shift their position of executive chairman to the role of chairman of the board of directors. So yeah, I did completely forget this. And it's not, they didn't bring in somebody new from the outside. So it's a very similar situation. They promoted from within and everybody's just kind of moved up a spot. But I don't think this represents a change. In my opinion, that does not represent a change in their management. These are natural progressions. Unlike, sometimes we've seen recently where all of a sudden a CFO just, was here one day, gone the next. But that's not what's going on here. So thank you. I did completely forget about that. Let's see. Let's just say Patient Bill is not a fan of Bitfarms based on his comments. Alex, thank you. Yes. I'll pronounce this wrong, but Emiliano Grodzki resigned on 12/29/2022. Samuel's saying, I don't know which is better, but Bitfarms is a good miner. Clearly those moves about leveraging their Bitcoin and trading Bitcoin was dumb and actually bad moves. However, their operations are great. So that's the two sides of that coin. They made it was one move and it did not go well. It just didn't. It was a calculated risk. Hindsight's 2020. It's a pretty easy. I don't think anybody's ever going to make. They went out and bought they borrowed money. So they added debt to their equation and bought a bunch of Bitcoin. I can't remember, maybe at 30,000, maybe more. And that was obviously, beginning of 2022. So that did not play out well for them at all. in order to pay off that loan, they pretty much had to get rid of their entire stack of Bitcoin. So, you know, they had to do some shuffling around. But they, in my opinion, they have, their balance sheet at one point was not pretty. But it is much, much, much healthier right now than it was 3 months ago and 6 months ago. So, all the while, operationally speaking, I think they've had outstanding operational performance. They've had months where, you know, they've been consistently in the top 3 number of Bitcoin mined per month, and they're nowhere near in the top 3 in exahash. So, you know, they're getting a lot. They're very efficient. And they did double their exahash in 2022. So a lot of good stuff, but I know people have a lot of strong feelings, and I can definitely tell you, Patient Bill said you're dreaming still being in Bitfarms. So Patient Bill, not a fan of Bitfarms. Let's see. Alex, success by Jeffrey Morphy, COO. Oh, succeeded by Jeffrey Morphy, COO. Bloomberg reports. Yeah, so, I mean, he went from chief operating officer to the chief executive officer, and that is very similar to the situation that I was just describing at Hive Blockchain. So, you know, those people, I think, are brought on with those intentions. So, Darren said, I'm really considering selling my original money in Hut and leaving the 66% gains and flipping the cash into Riot Leaps. Yeah, so, I mean, there's another one where, you know, if you're going to take profits, I never argue with taking profits. That's everybody's own personal decision. And ultimately, you know, if you never, they say, well, if you don't sell anything, you didn't lose any money. But also, if you don't sell anything, you didn't gain any money either. So at some point, some of these decisions have to be made. You can't just hold everything forever. Bitfarms costs are among the cheapest per coin, said Barry. That is true. They're usually one of the leaders in their cost per coin. So there's a couple of new companies that have made big claims as to how cheaply they're going to mine each Bitcoin. But we have not seen any financial data from those companies yet. So we will wait and see. For the time being, Bitfarms is one of the leaders in that. But there are a couple of companies that are saying they're going to do even much better than that. Old Jock is saying Core could stay in Chapter 11 long enough to be, quote, saved by the bull run, I reckon. So, yeah, I would have to look it up, but I know they can stay in Chapter 11 for quite some time. And, you know, already there's been a massive shift, right? They went into Chapter 11 at Bitcoin 16,800, and we're now at Bitcoin 24,000. If they can stay in there, you know, we'll see. We'll see where Bitcoin goes. Our poll, 74% of people think we're going to go up to 29,000. So, you know, if that happens, then, you know, some of those things change the math for Core Scientific drastically. Old Jock said bull run. All right, what do you think about CleanSpark, asks Mark. I will answer that. We talked about that a little bit earlier. I mean, I own a lot of CleanSpark. I think it's way undervalued in my personal opinion. So obviously, please do your own due diligence. This is not financial advice, but I looked at CleanSpark earlier. To me, this makes absolutely no sense where CleanSpark is trading. It just makes no sense at all. I think it should be double where it is right now at a minimum, if not more. So I think it has underperformed. And, you know, these are small cap stocks. These are micro cap stocks. Some of them are even smaller than micro cap stocks. So, you know, CleanSpark right now, I don't know why their stock is they're under $3 they closed today, which is, in my opinion, that is just madness. They got as low as $1.74. Let's see what their market cap is, but it's low. So they're a $229 million market cap. Remember, they mined almost 700 Bitcoin last month. They're approaching 7 exahash right now, and they bought enough machines to get to 9 exahash. So this is one of the biggest miners. They will, in all likelihood, finish in the top 3 in 2023 in the number of Bitcoin mined. And they also have a very decent cost as far as cost per Bitcoin. So we'll see if they can maintain that with all this massive growth. You know, you want to see all these additional machines. Are they mining at the same level of efficiency? But to me, this is a company that's at close to 7 exahash. They're on their way to 9 exahash. They mine, you know, the most or the second most or the third most Bitcoin. And for some reason, you know, if I go to market cap, again, this is as of 2/17. I mean, they're here. Hive has a bigger market cap than they do. Hut has a bigger market cap than they do. Cypher has a bigger market cap than they do. So, I mean, CleanSpark mines a lot more than all of those companies. So, and really, you know, Hive has a little bit of a hodl position, so that may be why they're and obviously Hut has a big hodl position. Cypher does not. But you can see, I mean, to me, all of these, this leaves a lot of room to grow. For any of these companies that succeed, I would guess are going to be many multiples of what they are right now at some point when Bitcoin does what we hope it's going to do. If and when. So you can see, I mean, a lot of these are nano cap stocks. These are tiny. This CleanSpark's a $264 million market cap as of last Friday. So, you know, I think it will have its run. I believe that. And I think all of these have their runs at different times for different reasons. And people move in and out of them. And, you know, the stock market doesn't always act exactly rationally. Very few stocks are ever at exactly their fair value. So I think CleanSpark's way under its fair value, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. Jeff is saying CleanSpark is the gem of the bunch, maybe the best management team, and they are vertically integrated. Not many other miners are fully vertical. So, yeah, I mean, I agree. Thank you, Jeff. That's part of the argument for CleanSpark. And again, I just feel like we're going to look back and go, wow, CleanSpark was at $2.94, but I think we're going to look back and go, wow, you know, Bitfarms was at $1. But we're probably going to say that with a lot of these. Now, some of these have taken a big run up, but they're still at very, very low numbers. Look how many of these are still around $1 or under $1. So there's a lot of room to grow. CleanSpark has a lot less shares than most of its competitors up here, so that's why its price is a little higher. But you can see with its market cap, you know, its market cap is lower than a lot of companies that it's mining a lot more than. Let's see, Alex said, Patient Bill, Institutions, BlackRock, largest investor, followed by Vanguard, Renaissance, and State Street, all increased. So I'm not sure which company we're talking about there. If you guys are still talking about Bitfarms or Jeff. And CleanSpark bought that property for pennies on the dollar. CleanSpark did make a lot of bargains. They got aggressive when nobody else was aggressive in 2022, and that was a part of the reason they were able to do that is they took a different strategy. They were the first one to start selling their Bitcoin. A lot of people criticize them for that and a lot of people still don't like that philosophy. But they made a decision. We're going to sell our Bitcoin. They're averaging out of Bitcoin. So in a year where Bitcoin crashed, you know, that's a much better case scenario than holding all of your Bitcoin if you're forced to then sell it at the low, which did happen to more than one Bitcoin miner. So for those miners that were forced to sell it all at the low, they wished that they had dollar cost averaged out all year long. For those miners that still hold on to their stack, well, you know, they're hoping that they get to sell it for much higher numbers. I would suspect that Hut 8, you know, and they're going to sell some Bitcoin for the first time in 2 years as a result of this pending merger, if everything gets approved and goes. But I think that has everything to do with, not changing the share count. So they're going to pay for operations with Bitcoin in the meantime. But if I had to guess, I would guess that as soon as the merger is complete, they're going to go back to, hodling as much as they can. Maybe they'll take a hybrid and hold some and spend some, but I don't think they're going to be digging into their stack. I think they waited a long, long time to get over 9,000 Bitcoin on their balance sheet. And I feel like that's, they're pretty passionate about that. So I think they're going to keep as many of those as they possibly can until they can sell them at a much higher number. That's just my opinion. Jeff is saying holding Bitcoin is dumb for a business to do. So I think it depends. I think it absolutely depends on your situation. So if I've said many times, if it was up to me and I was, running one of these companies, I would have a hybrid approach. I would try and save some of the Bitcoin, and I would try to pay for operations with Bitcoin. I CapEx, I'm okay with, dilution for CapEx in order to grow if you're paying for your operations. So that would be my approach. But, that's my opinion. So here's the thing. If Hut 8 gets to sell all these Bitcoin for $200,000 a piece, then they will have turned out to have been right. If they sell them for, $25,000, then they held on to them for all those years, really for no reason. Awakened Soul, which small cap non-miners have you been considering buying? And I've only added 2 new stocks to my portfolio at all in the year 2023. There's been such a run-up that a lot of the stocks that I'm looking at just had a gigantic run-up. Let me see if I can find that watch list. So I still have curiosity. I missed the run here. Let me go to that chart. I'm still not right. Fubo scares me. Skills scares me. The Tattooed Chef scares me. DraftKings scares me. A lot of these companies still scare me. So I'm looking at Palantir, but I haven't taken a position in it. The ones I really wanted a position in, I either had a position in or they just ran up a bunch. So for Nano, these guys, this is not as much as it looks like, but, they're up about 38%. And I don't expect them to have wild swings just based on the way their company is situated. So if I go down here, so some of these are some of the stocks that we've done on the channel. I haven't updated this list, but we've got deep dives on these stocks. And some of these I'm very interested in, and I have not yet opened a position. And I've missed some big runs. Some of them aren't on here, but APPH had a big, giant run. RIG had a big, giant run. It just pulled back. So I don't know. I'm going to try to add some of these small cap, high growth companies and, maybe get 2 videos a week that are outside of the sector in the small caps and 2 or 3 in larger caps, and just expand what we do a little bit because, yeah, I really don't talk about most of the rest of what I look at. So that is a piece of what I'm looking to do on the channel. I definitely want to talk about more. I will always talk about Bitcoin and the Bitcoin miners, but I want to talk about other things because, it's a big stock market. And the beauty of the membership is that a lot of the members on our channel, fortunately, are very experienced traders, and they know sectors and industries that I'm not familiar with. So for them to be able to bring suggestions to the table like that that are just, some of these are, I think, they're all watch list worthy, and some of them are grand slam home run type things that, I'm just unaware of because there's just too many stocks. Nobody knows every stock in the stock market, and a lot of these guys have different methods of investing, so they find different types of stocks. Some of them are good swing trades. Some of them are good buy and hold. Some of them are both. So that has helped me. And we do have a library of those built up in the members section. But I will start doing some other ones. I don't want to do the ones we did in the members section, but I'll start doing some other ones on the channel for all to see as well. Let's see. Let me catch up. Darren said, don't let DraftKings scare you. They're a mega buy right now. I also really love IA. Yeah, I mean, I'll take a second look at DraftKings. I am scared of DraftKings. All of these stocks, this is where the market ran away from. It's been over a year and a half ago now. Like, this was the hot list a long time ago, and they fell and fell and fell and fell. Some of these companies I thought were going to be big hits, but the problem is their stock got crushed so badly that they were unable to raise the capital they need to get to where they're going. And Fubo is one of those companies that I think could have been. I'm gonna look at Fubo right now. And I did several videos on Fubo a year ago, and at one point, I just had to come out and say I've changed. I think the risk profile here has changed drastically, and I'm out. And this thing, I mean, look at this thing. We're not even close yet. This was a $62 stock in December of 2020. Okay, so that's a long time ago. But, it was a $34 stock in November of 2021. And now it's a $2 stock. I mean, that's down 90-something percent. Forget its all-time high. Just if you go from here. This stock is down, give or take 94%. And that's not from its all-time high. So, these stocks got decimated. And somewhere in that, when it got below this $4 or $5 range, the math started to change on these. They could no longer do some reasonable amount of at-the-market offerings and get the cash they needed to get to where they were going. At $2 or $3, it was just too dilutive. And so, to me, that changed their... And I don't know that they're going to be able to get out of that. I think this company has done everything right, other than the fact that I do think they're going to end up being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Somebody's going to pick them up, in my opinion, and integrate them. There's so much live stream out there, and Fubo's doing some stuff that no one else is doing. So from a mergers and acquisitions standpoint, I think it may be a good play, but I don't think they can get to the finish line. And Skills is even much. Skills I completely abandoned. I did hold that about 2 years ago, and they had one problem that I talked about in every video that the management addressed every time and said they would fix, but you know what? They never fixed it. It just got worse and worse. And, this is now a penny stock. So let's see. Let me catch up. Darren said, Alex, I've been buying SoFi. So that is one that we did look at in the members, and yeah, that's a stock I like as well. Alex said, me too, Darren. Swing trade from $4.98 to $6, now $6.60 to $8. Let's see. Awkward Soul said, I love SoFi. Alex, yes, but money on SoFi. Don't care about anything other than making money. Oh, yeah, but I'll make money on SoFi. So, yeah, and I know that, Alex, I know also does some swing trades. And, when there's money to be made, that's what we're all here to do in the end, is to, in some way where we, try and not take too much risk, is to make money at this. That's the point of investing. So Barry said, I hate Fubo. They took the English Premier League rights off DAZN. Was probably a good move for the company, though. Yeah, I mean, this is what I'm saying. Their content is phenomenal. Their problem is, right now, they pay more for their content than they're getting in subscriber fees. So that's an equation that doesn't fix itself. Right? You can't scale up. They've got to increase the price that they're charging their customer, I believe, in order to get where they're going. And I don't know that they're going to be able to do that. And even if they did do that, they're so far away from cash flow positive right now that I just don't know that they would ever get there, no matter how hard they tried. So I am not bullish on that, but obviously you guys do your own due diligence. Alex, I understand I like to make money on SoFi for months. What about BTCM? I don't even think I have them on my list anymore. So let's take a look. So this is another nano cap stock, $31 million. My question is, are they mining any Bitcoin? I know they're called Bitcoin Mining Limited, but are they actually mining any Bitcoin? So Bit Mining Limited operates as a cryptocurrency mining company. The company operates through three segments: mining pool, data center, and cryptocurrency mining. It operates a cryptocurrency mining data center in Ohio with the power capacity of 150 megawatts. But yet, and maybe I'm wrong, I don't think they ever actually say, like, there's no monthly operational updates for these guys. I don't know what they're doing. So that doesn't mean that it's not a good company. They're just not doing what the rest of the Bitcoin... I follow 18 Bitcoin miners that put out monthly updates. Now, a few of those have gotten small and changed their business formula, and they stopped putting out monthly updates. But to me, if you're going to call yourself... I mean, they are called BIT Mining, so... and it's BTCM, so, I want to know... I want a monthly update. What are you mining? So if you guys know, let me know. I mean, if this information is readily available, but I've never seen them put out a monthly operational update like all the rest of their peers do. It's a very small company. This might be a great company. I mean, 150 megawatts of energy, that is a lot of, if that's actual infrastructure, that's a lot of infrastructure. So what are they doing with it? And, maybe there's something here that I'm just haven't looked into yet. To be honest, I haven't done a deep dive on them in a long, long time. So, in a long, long time in cryptocurrency terms, because, none of these things have been around a long, long time. Somebody, Jay, has got negative things to say about me for some reason. Let's see. Try and go back and see what originally he said. Let's see. Jay Chamath, aka the SPAC King, pumped and dumped Clover, Virgin Galactic, and SoFi onto retail clowns through his social capital fund that took crappy companies public via SPACs. I mean, the SPAC thing, I was never a fan of the SPAC thing. I think it's probably, you guys can see, it's almost gone by the wayside. I didn't like that as a vehicle to take something public. I thought it was a shortcut. I think it shortchanged investors. It failed many more times than it succeeded. So the track record was not good. And I just don't think that there's probably going to be a lot more SPACs in the future. At least not prominent ones like there were. There were some very, very super high profile SPACs. One of them is one of the ones that tanked today, which is Lucid Motors. Right? I have my feelings on Lucid Motors. I think they're in big trouble. Edmund said hello from Destin, Florida. Let's see. What's my sell price on Wolf? So for me, Wolf is a buy and hold. That's a multi-year hold in my opinion. I think that, for these Bitcoin miners, I'm not, for the ones that I have chose, I'm a buy and hold investor. And, I'm going to wait until after the halving to see what's what in all likelihood for most of these. Jay, how many of you are paid? Yeah, we have zero. This channel has 0 paid commenters, so I don't know who Jay is. I don't know. He's very upset for some reason, but we don't. This is a small channel. Everybody here is a real person, and this is not a $500,000 or 500,000 subscriber channel, and we don't have any. I'm not paying anybody. I already lose money on the channel from scratch, so I'm certainly not paying people to leave comments in the comments section. Barry said, Etche, nobody is. I've been around a long time. Channel has just slowly grown. Yeah, I mean, this has been a slow, very slow, steady, brutal process. I've put out 1,000 videos, guys. I mean, this isn't my first month on the internet, and I didn't go buy you guys probably know how this works. If I wanted to, I could go buy 100,000 subscribers, but they won't be real, and I don't see any value in that. It doesn't make any sense. So everybody that's a subscriber on my channel has decided to press the subscribe button at one point or another. Obviously, they're not all still active. That's not how any of this works, but hey, we have a visitor, Kudab. Says, hi, Tom. That is George. Welcome, George. Welcome to the live stream. So he's visiting us via the chat versus the, he must not be available. Barry said, George. Raul said, ignore the haters. Steven said, I wish I was getting paid. Yeah, I mean, just do the math and think about it. How could you possibly pay people to... Jeff said, some of us have been on the channel over a year now, right? Yeah, you're one of them, Jeff. A bunch of the members have been on the channel for more than a year. And I think I'm coming up on 2 years doing this. So, it's been a long, long journey. And you can see at least 6 out of the 7 days a week, I put a video out. I try to do 7 out of the 7 days a week, and I'm dedicated to doing this. And again, this is not something we get rich off of. This costs money, but I love doing it, and I think eventually this channel will get where it's going. Sharpshooter said, no one is paying me to say I love your channel, and I continue to tell my friends about it. Thank you, Sharpshooter. I appreciate that. Yeah, word of mouth, I appreciate it. Anything, it all helps. Alex said, if history repeats, the biggest price Bitcoin moves come after the halving, 12 to 18 months post. So, yeah, I mean, that's why I'm saying I'm going to be... Unless, obviously, if one of these companies has a fundamental change in what's happening with them and their story changes, if you will, then I'll reconsider my investment in them. Otherwise, I'm going to hold them until after the halving because I think there's an awful lot of room left to run. And like Alex is saying, sometimes it's a year and a half after the halving before, we get, our peak or our blow off top, if you will. And that's no guarantee either, but I am bullish on Bitcoin. So, George said, I took a nap. Nathan said, wait a minute, we were supposed to get paid to be on here? I've been going about it all wrong. Yeah, you didn't. Sorry, Nathan, you did not get the memo, apparently. Brian said, hello, Tom. Hello. Any thoughts on Alt Alliance? Why do I remember them? I have no thoughts off the top of my head other than I think we've looked at them a couple of times. Kudeb, which is George, is saying, Tom, you want to get dinner later? Yeah, sure. Absolutely. I don't know where you're at, but you do have an invite if you want to jump on and say hello to everybody. Awakens the last time. Did you ever look at GAN? I don't think I did. And I will tell you guys, I have fallen this last week in particular. I've just fallen behind due to personal circumstances, so I'm working to catch up. So there's a bunch of stuff I would like to have looked at and whatnot. It's been all I can do just to get some videos out in the meantime, but I appreciate everybody sticking with me. And I know a lot of people reached out to me and with thoughts and prayers, so I very much appreciate that from everybody. Let's see. Jeff says, I want to say I started watching Tom's videos like August, September of 2021. Does that make sense? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and I started making them before that, but I know, Jeff, you've been around definitely way longer than a year. So, Brent is saying, Alex, I don't. History will be a guide, orders of magnitude, different scale of dollars. So I'm not sure what you guys are talking about. Dormant players and very, very few data points for halvings. So I did not follow the rest of that conversation. Thank you, Pierre. Said you are the best. Thank you. Much appreciated. Barry said, I remember the hope we had at the start of the 10K challenge. Yeah. And then we had the year 2022. So that was rough. You think we'll get to 30K? So for me, my answer to that is I do think Bitcoin's going to go to 30K. You know, my call right now, my short-term call, which, you know, is anywhere from 2 weeks to 2 months, I think the next move, I think, is up. I think we're going to get to 29K. I've been wrong before, and I will be wrong again. But that's what I think, and I think we're going to go past that. In 2023, at some point, I think we're going to go over 40,000. That doesn't mean we're going to finish the year there, but I do think it's going to be a volatile year, and I think at some point we'll run up over 40,000, in my opinion. Edmund said 29K Bitcoin rather than sub 20K, period. Oh, I just got lost. Sorry, everybody. There's massive comments coming at me. Some people are having a conversation, so I'm not going to jump into the middle of that because I'm lost. So from the first CleanSpark video, said Jeff. So yeah, that was a long time ago. CleanSpark has always been a very popular favorite on the channel. And that's how I kind of judge how popular these companies are among retail investors. Some, CleanSpark, Marathon, Riot, those tend to get a lot of views. And so, you know, I'm guessing that means they're a lot more popular among retail investors. Hut 8 has gotten a lot of views in the past as well. Whenever we get an interview on the channel, that tends to get views. And you guys know, I do the videos on everything anyway, so some of them get more views than others. BTC price post-halving May 2020. BTC price skyrockets in 2021. That is from Alex. Jay said Fisher hasn't sold one car yet. So that's the problem I have with some of these. That's why I talked about this list. Let me see if I can find it. These are all in the EV space. Every one of these companies. Now, they're not all the same. They don't all make electric vehicles. Some of them make electric vehicles. Some of them, are commercial. Some of them make batteries. Some of them make charging stations. But like this is the list. And, a lot of these companies were mega billion-dollar companies before they ever even made a car. Some of these companies still do not have a car that works right now. In fact, I will tell you, Solo just recalled all their cars, like today or yesterday. So, they've only sold a few, and they recalled them. So, you guys can read up on your own if you want to see why they did that. There was some issue. I don't know what it was, but, they've sold very, very few cars. I don't know that Workhorse has ever sold a car yet. Arrow has hardly ever sold a car. I happen to like Arrow. This is a company that I like. I believe they're going to do what they say they're going to do, but it's highly speculative. So this list is very much like the Bitcoin miner list. This is an extremely volatile list, and they're high risk investments. Let's see. Oh, sorry. Hold on. I don't know what just happened there. Brent said, Alex, I've been in Bitcoin since 2014. The halvings aren't always predictable. The dollars involved and players change considerably from one to the next. And yeah, and obviously the scale keeps getting greater and greater and greater. I mean, there's so much more money involved right now. There's so much more adoption that's gone on. By the same token, that's put it on all the, regulatory agencies' radar. So there's a lot of that coming at us. Bitcoin is an ever-changing story. And I still think, we're still way closer to the beginning of this story than we are to the end of it, in my opinion. So we'll see. I mean, I remain bullish. Darren said Fisker started production and began moving cars out November 17th, 2022. So they've started. But they traded for a year for in the billions plus dollars as a company that hadn't sold any cars yet. But now they are producing and selling. Lucid, I'm just going to go to Lucid for a minute, as long as you guys are talking those kind of cars, because Lucid, they were down 11.9% on the day. I thought it would be worse than that. And if you look at I'm just going to go through their numbers a little bit. Let's see. Lucid reported Q4 deliveries of 1,932 vehicles. So think about that, guys. I mean, and I love, I've never driven their car, but it's a sharp-looking car. It's a very high-end car. They have an excellent battery, or so we are to believe. And it's a luxury vehicle. But the thing is, they delivered 1,932 vehicles. I mean, you're not really even a business yet at that point. This is so early in their process. It's ridiculous. That was a miss. They were looking for 2,813. But what's more important to me is, let's see. Last month, Lucid announced it produced 3,493 vehicles for the quarter and 7,180 vehicles for the year. So that was topping their 6,000 to 7,000 forecast, but that wasn't their real forecast. If you read right here, a year ago they were telling us that 2022 was going to be 20,000 vehicles. And now they've gone from that, if you look, I don't know if this article will say it or not. Yeah, now their 2023 forecast is 10,000 vehicles, 10,000 to 14,000. So this is a company that has rolled out much, much, much slower than they said they were going to. You can see Q1 revenue of 600 to 640 million. This is still a tiny, tiny company. And even after it's down as much as it's down, it's still $16 billion market cap. So because I'm so much into the Bitcoin miners, I always put things into this perspective. That equals every single Bitcoin miner in existence, Marathon, Riot, all of them, all added up, put together, times 4 to get the market cap of what Lucid is trading for. And this is a company that does nothing but lose massive, massive amounts of money. They produce very little cars, and maybe they're going to make it. But to me, I'm worried about them. I think their cash flow situation, it's a very cash flow negative company, and, the clock is ticking. The one thing that sits out there is there is a company, I think, in Saudi Arabia that's a major investor in this that may end up just taking them private. So shareholders might end up okay no matter what happens here. I don't know. That's kind of an out or a back door, if you will. But to me, like this is one that I called back. Their 52-week high is 29, but that's nowhere near their high. Right, they were at in November. So November of 2020-21, that's when Bitcoin peaked. That's when a lot of things peaked. This was a $53 stock. So, so for those of you who watch the channel, I did some videos on this. I've been kind of pounding the table like this. This makes no sense. It makes no sense to me at 16 billion. Never mind what it was at when it was a $52 stock. So, this company was bigger than Ford and General Motors. And they just delivered 2,000 or 1,800 cars or whatever the case may be. So I don't know what you guys are saying, but it's all getting blocked. So sorry. I don't block the chat. YouTube blocks what it blocks. So if you're using any 4-letter words or anything of that nature, it does not put your thing through, just so that you know. That's not me. Sharpshooter said, speaking of earnings, Marathon Digital does earnings on the 28th. You think they will do good? ? So I'm looking at all these earnings in the same way. We know that the period that they're reporting on, so all the Bitcoin miners are about to report on the period ended December 31st, 2022. That is a different quarter depending on when their fiscal year starts or finishes, but that's the quarter they're all about to announce on. None of their financial statements are going to look good. Their top line is going to be awful. All the Bitcoin miners' top line is going to be awful for that period. That was when Bitcoin hit its low. It bottomed in November in the 15,000s. So October, November, December, Bitcoin was, trading between $15,500 and $17,000 or $18,000. So that's the lowest revenue you're going to get, unless obviously if we turn around and, revisit, there are still people talking about Bitcoin 12,000 or Bitcoin 8,500, or, some people are talking about Bitcoin 3,000. So if that happens, obviously then it will get even worse. But for now, the top line on all these is going to be awful. It's a double whammy for Marathon because they've been very slow to roll out their plan. They're drastically behind where they expected to be at the beginning of the year. So And they've done a lot of self-curtailment in that period. So they mined very few Bitcoin, and Bitcoin was at a very low number. So I just don't think we're going to get a lot. What I'm looking for in the fourth quarter for all of these, I'm calling it the fourth quarter, for the period ended December 31st, 2022, what I'm looking for on all the Bitcoin miners is how are they managing their liquidity? How are they managing their cash flow? Are they controlling their overhead? These are things within their control. Did they do a good job controlling their overhead? And I think, with Marathon, they did a lot of self-curtailment. So I think you're going to see they probably did whatever they could to bring their, cost per Bitcoin down. So those are the only things that they can do in these types of times. So that's what I'll be looking for across, not just with Marathon, but across the board. Did they take care of the things they could take care of? Do they have a liquidity problem? Do they have a debt service problem that's going to run them over sooner than later? That's all we're really, I think, going to be able to glean out of these financial results. So, I thought by now we would be much further along in this, but, the period ended December 31st, 2022 was pretty much the bottom of all of it. So I think, obviously, unless it gets worse. Raul said, what's the thesis for supermarkets? And Jeff's answer is people need to eat. I will tell you, Jeff called supermarkets at least a year ago, and the run-up from the time that Jeff called that was massive. So that was for us on this channel here, that was the call of the year. And to be fair, a lot of people have made a lot of good calls in the members section. So, but Jeff pounded the table all year on supermarkets, and he was right. Brent said, Cypher will be the last publicly traded miner standing if Bitcoin goes to 10K and stays there for a while. Yeah, so those are the different risk rewards we all got to look at. What's going to happen to Bitcoin? Are we looking at who's the best Bitcoin miner at Bitcoin 50,000 or who's the best Bitcoin miner at Bitcoin 10,000? And obviously a further extended crypto winter is going to put maximum pressure on all these Bitcoin miners. So that would be, if this lasts for another year, then a bunch of these guys aren't making it to the other side. I don't think it's going to, so we'll see. Barry said, and BTBT. BTBT is an interesting one. I don't own that stock, but they have a very healthy balance sheet. They don't have a lot of hash rate. They have a lot of machines that I believe they will never plug in ever again. So they have over an exahash of newer machines operating. They have a couple of exahash worth of machines that I really they unplugged them a year and a half ago. They're not plugged back in yet. And at this point, they're aged at a point where I'm guessing none of those machines are really ever going to get plugged in. Maybe if somehow Bitcoin was to shoot up to a huge number, those would be profitable again and they could make that happen. But having said that, they have their machines they have their newer machines that are running and an extremely healthy balance sheet. So I do think they're set to withstand, more Bitcoin crypto winter if that's what's coming. Shoreline Beach said, Tom, time for a deep dive on any. So, yeah, I would like to do a deep dive on any. I mean, personally, I do that for myself, and I follow them, and that is a massively different company than it was a year ago. They've changed everything about what they do, and I like what they're doing. And they're another one where I think they have a healthy balance sheet, and they've turned what was a very bad situation, in my opinion, into a good situation. They've had to scale down radically in order to do so, but, I think they got a good situation going on there. A lot of these companies made a lot of big moves to save themselves and change their circumstances greatly. Raul said Walmart said their shoppers are being more deliberate. Are supermarket shoppers spending more, and so more volume equals more profit? So that's a good question. That is for Jeff, our resident supermarket person. Barry said, I like BTBT. Yeah, they do still hold a lot of Ethereum. They hold some Bitcoin, they hold some Ethereum. Obviously, nobody mines Ethereum anymore, but they held on to some. Alex is saying, Wolf claims they have $3,500 energy cost. If so, they will be standing if Bitcoin is $10,000. So, yeah, that's one of a couple of companies that have made some pretty massive representations. And I'm not saying they're not telling the truth, but what I am saying is there's a big difference between what their energy cost is in a vacuum if everything goes exactly as planned versus what it ends up being, once reality is up and running and your machines are running and, they're running at different levels of efficiency and they're breaking. And so I will be interested to see. That's why I want to wait for Cypher and for Terawolf. I want to see their financial statements once they just started mining Bitcoin in the fourth quarter. So we have no data on them at all yet. So the quarter ended March 31st, 2023, and I know that's a little while away. I think those will be very, very meaningful numbers for Wolf and for Cypher. And then we'll see what their energy cost is. And here's the thing, it doesn't have to be, they're saying $3,500, and maybe that's how the math works out in a perfect world, but even if it's more than that, even if it's $5,000 or $5,500, that is still outstanding. So, they have the potential to have a very, very good formula going on there. But, again, they got to prove it. They just started mining, so we don't know yet. Michael Anthony said, I don't like BTBT. I heard lie. I don't know if he's saying that he heard that they lied. I will tell you, BTBT has a new CEO, and I think I'm not saying they lied in the past or they didn't lie in the past. I don't know what's gone on in the past. But I think their balance sheet's healthy. I think they have 2 exahash worth of machines that they will never plug in. So were they ever plugged in? Because that was the big thing. There was a short report put out by, I can't remember who, that basically said, none of these machines are real. This company is all just a great big lie. And since most of their machines, I think all of their machines at that time were in China, everybody was having a very hard time verifying, that this company was even a real company. So because of the fact that China basically put an end to Bitcoin mining, they have had to move to the U.S. So I don't know what they were, but what they are now, I think, we're seeing an accurate representation of a balance sheet of the assets that they have. We now see the new Bitcoin miners that they've bought. So, yeah, they might have never been, they were talking about 2 or 3 exahash a year and a half ago. I mean, maybe that was never true. I don't know. But I think we're getting more accurate information from them, in my opinion, at this time. That's what I believe. Everything's now, a lot more transparency, a lot more visible because it's here in the U.S. And I do think it's telling that there were, maybe even almost 2 exahash worth of machines that they really never got to plug back in. So I guess we'll never know. We can all have our own opinion. So Michael Anthony saying, when have or did Mara and Riot and Bitfarms report, and did any make a profit? There will be no Bitcoin miner that makes a profit in the quarter that they will be reporting on. So that's just what happened to the price of Bitcoin. It was all these companies could do to be cash flow positive, never mind actual profitability. So unfortunately, because of the crypto winter, you're not going to see a profit from anybody at all. So I'm going to be looking at gross profit, cost per coin. And I don't think any of those three have who put their numbers out so far. A couple have, but I don't think Marathon, Riot, or Bitfarms has yet. So those are the things I'll be looking at. What was their cost per coin? And for Marathon and Riot, they have a complicated equation. Bitfarms is a little more straightforward. They're just a Bitcoin miner. They mine Bitcoin. Marathon has staggered what they do. They do a lot of self-curtailment, and they have not scaled up to where they're going yet. So it's still going to be incomplete information with them. And Riot gets massive, massive energy credits. So their financial statements are also very difficult to pull apart and understand. So, you know, they don't make this easy. That's for sure. Brent said, Alex, I got to check Wolf. 3,500 is lowest I've heard. Not bearish, by the way, but if Bitcoin does not rally considerably in the next year, I think it is prudent to consider survivability of the miners I own. Yeah, I mean, that is definitely a part of the equation, right? Because we don't know. I'm bullish. I think we're going to a certain place in the next year, but I thought we were going to a certain place last year. You know, Plan B thought we were going to $150,000, you know, by the end of 2021. So that didn't happen. Ryan, I am going to do a shout out. Ryan says, Iris, Hive, CleanSpark. That is a comment he leaves regularly, so I'm going to give it a shout out right now. I have seen your comments, and I've heard them. And for me in particular, I like CleanSpark the best out of those three, but Iris did some massive changes to their company that I thought improved their situation. Hive, I like. So, but Ryan likes Iris, Hive, and CleanSpark. To the moon. Jeff said, generally speaking, they are slow and steady over time. However, the supermarkets violently spike early in downturns as they expand margins ahead of a recession. Then, during the recession, they cut labor. Okay, so there's a little bit of an answer. Jeff said CleanSpark, Riot, and Bitfarms. CleanSpark, Riot, Bitfarms. So those are three of my personal top four, which I have shared with everybody on multiple videos and live streams. So I like all those plays for different reasons. All three of them have very different business models. So that's one of the reasons I like being invested in the three of them. It allows me to diversify a little bit while, you know, still having... I'm heavy in the Bitcoin miners as far as my overall portfolio goes. So the least I feel like I can do is at least diversify amongst the Bitcoin miners with miners that have different strategies that I think have strong strategies to get to where they're going. So I do like those three as well, Jeff. That's just my opinion. Raul said, why would a mining company post a profit when machines are dirt cheap? I mean, the fact is they're not making a profit. They're just not right now. The price of machines has gone down wildly. The price of energy has been the big problem. And the real bottleneck in this whole system, which nobody was talking about, I won't say nobody, but almost nobody in 2021, really the bottleneck in Bitcoin mining is access to consistent energy at a consistent price. It's not really the machines. Everybody went out and ordered machines and paid in advance and paid whatever price they were charging, even if it meant they had to wait 6 months or a year for those machines to be delivered. But really, the machines didn't turn out to be the bottleneck. The bottleneck is consistent, affordable energy. So the companies that are furthest ahead on that, I think, are the ones that are ahead in the game overall. That's my opinion. Alex is saying no profit for many until 30K plus Bitcoin. I think 35K is the magic number. So I'm right with you, Alex. I think that's just about exactly right, in my opinion. Brent said, Jeff, I worked for a grocery retailer and distributor years ago. It's such a tough business. So I audited a few grocery stores a long time ago. And the ones, there's some different business models in the grocery stores now than there was back then, but those were very, very, very low margin businesses. So they had to be super sharp at what they were doing to make a profit. I know there's some different stuff going on now than back then. Kudab said 5 minutes, over 2 hours. Oh, he's probably waiting for dinner. Want me to wrap it up? LOL pizza. Steven said, George is getting hungry. So I let the time get away from me as well. I don't know. We just get talking and I keep going. So I will wrap it up. He locked the door. I don't know what that means. So, all right. So thank you, everybody. Thanks for joining me on the live stream. This was an impromptu live stream. Thursday isn't our normal deal, but I like to get on and talk when stuff's going on. And I appreciate all you guys for joining me on the live stream. Thank you again. There are a lot of members left with me here right now in the chat on the live stream. So thank you, everybody, again, that is a member, for supporting the channel. And thanks to all the subscribers and viewers. So I appreciate everybody. Everybody have a great night. And tomorrow is our regular live stream. So after the market closes tomorrow, we will have our regular live stream. So hopefully I will see all of you guys then. Thanks and have a good night.